Yeah, anyway, I haven't done anything for a few days. And today it's unbelievable that it's been 60 years since that fateful day in Dallas, Texas, when President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. So it goes further and further and further into the recesses of history, and fewer people are alive today who remember that event. And I've talked about it several times on this channel, and written about it in other places, that, you know, even though I was almost 9 years old, it did have an impact on my life, and certainly of people who were born in the first half of the baby boom and later on. It had a huge impact. And just how the way we perceived the world, and there was so much grief that went on, you know, during that time. It was like it couldn't happen here, and especially in the modern era, it couldn't happen. And then you find out, yes, it did happen. And as a sideline, one of the reasons the Beatles were so popular in the US, probably more popular than in the UK, their native UK and other countries, is because of this event in Dallas. The country was in shock. The whole world was, but this country was in shock. It was in mourning. And when the Beatles came in, you know, when they appeared on Ed Sullivan early in '64, that had a cathartic effect on the public, especially among the baby boomers. And that's why we as a group were kind of protective of them and stuff like that, because they were part of the healing process. They didn't even realize they were, but they were. It helped get younger people's minds off what had happened. Just happened a few weeks prior. And yeah, I remember I was in school when that happened. I was in 3rd grade, and they called us into the gym, or not the gym, the cafeteria, and they said, you know, it was during lunch, and they said they were going to send us home because the president had been shot. They hadn't said he was dead. And I'm not sure it was known then that he had already died, but he had been shot, so we were going to go home early, and we did. And we were gone for it was a Friday, and we came back the next Tuesday. And that was a really dark time in this country's history. And yes, Lee Harvey Oswald did it by himself with his mail-order rifle. He was a loser. He failed at everything he tried. He was only 24, but everything he ever tried, he failed at. And nobody wanted him. The Cubans didn't want him. The Russians didn't want him. His wife didn't even want him. And he left his wedding ring at home on the day of the assassination. And so, you know, he was going to go out in a blaze of glory. He figured he wasn't going to live much longer. He wasn't going to live probably past the day. He died a couple of days later, of course, and that was on national television, which I saw live, when he was shot by an equally crazy person named Jack Ruby. And there was no conspiracy, and the more the years go by, the more obvious it is there was no conspiracy. It was all in Oswald's head. It was all in Jack Ruby's head. Nobody else had anything to do with it. So whether it was the first bullet, the third bullet, the second bullet, it doesn't matter. Oswald did it, and that's all there is to it. And he killed Officer Tippit. So that's the thing the conspiracy theorists never could explain away. Why he even killed Officer Tippit. And why both guns were traced to Oswald. I mean, that's the end of it. Okay, there's no more, there's no debate. No more. So this was an interesting article in the Dallas Morning News. And Dallas has had to deal with this for all these decades. But there have been lots and lots of visits to Dallas, Texas by presidents, whether on a campaign visit or whether just a visit. And they've never gone to Dealey Plaza. It's like it's a place to avoid. They've never gone there. It says here, in the 6 decades since President John F. Kennedy's assassination in Dallas, the United States has had 11 presidents. If any of them visited Dealey Plaza or even drove through the triple underpass, there's no record of it. For whatever reasons, be it superstition or coincidence, every presidential motorcade since November 22nd, 1963 has steered clear of the site where a sniper ended Kennedy's life. Notice they say, not alleged sniper, sniper, Lee Harvey Oswald. Okay. Presidents have made dozens of visits to Dallas in the past 60 years. Many got very close to Dealey Plaza without driving through it. It seems to me it would have gotten some attention, says Dallas historian Darwin Payne. No such headlines exist. Gerald Ford led a parade in an open-top car barely a quarter-mile away, flanked by nervous Secret Service agents. Barack Obama came within 1,000 feet, heading for the Omni Hotel the night before the George W. Bush Library opened in 2013. That motorcade exited the freeway onto Commerce Street, but turned right and circled around the Hyatt Reunion, rather than continuing through the triple underpass. Bill Clinton watched a basketball game at Reunion Arena, and Ronald Reagan addressed a prayer breakfast there. Donald Trump held a campaign rally at the American Airlines Center. He, Reagan, and others appeared at the Municipal Auditorium near City Hall. There is no record of any of them driving past the assassination site. I don't know if they're of any taboo per se, unless it's among the presidents themselves, Payne said. But he's nearly certain no president has gone through Dealey Plaza since then. The Secret Service and Dallas Police Department did not respond to inquiries about any post-1963 policies related to dignitaries in Dealey Plaza. Kennedy's successors haven't lacked the opportunity to visit. And so they've had all these opportunities, but nobody will go there. Nobody will touch it. So this was an interesting article. And then there's a new book coming out. And it's one of the topics of the book is about the Falwell brothers. And of course I talked about Jerry Falwell Jr. and his escapades a couple of years ago. But it looks like the brothers, he and his brother Jonathan, who now basically runs his their father's empire, they're kind of on the outs. And Jerry Falwell Jr., the founder's son, who was once Liberty's president and now has sued the university, tells Alberta, that's the author, the current regime is choosing piety over competence. It's exactly what my dad didn't want to see happen. The true history of Liberty, as I could document in the book, this is Alberta, through the eyes of Falwell family lieutenants who span the ideological spectrum, has everything to do with electing Republicans and winning culture wars, and almost nothing to do with spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. Alberta, a minister's son, tells Axios. And then it says, Jerry Falwell Jr. repeatedly attacks his younger brother, Liberty Chancellor Jonathan Falwell, who's also the senior pastor at their dad's Thomas Road Baptist Church in Lynchburg. I should have fired everybody in the top leadership the day I walked in, from vice presidents on down, and hired everyone new, Jerry Jr. tells Alberta. You see, my dad didn't have the money back then to hire people who were honest and competent, so he typically had to choose one or the other, and those are the people who were still around when the school became prosperous. And then Jerry Jr. mimicked his brother, changing the inflection of his voice to uptight, performed preacher-like. Jerry Jr., a non-preacher who's a right-wing businessman and culture warrior, argues that his dad's true vision was for a powerhouse cultural institution, not a fundamentalist Christian school. None of that is a surprise. None of that is a surprise. He was all about politics, old Falwell Sr. And so, anyway, that book might be worth getting. And it's called, what's the new book? The Kingdom, the Power, and the Glory. So that's coming out on December the 2nd. And then, let's see. Oh, yeah, I thought this was hilarious about Mr. Luniverse. Neither of the cross-dressers won the recent title. But Luniverse, or Universe, has filed for bankruptcy. Well, no damn wonder. Anyway, this was recently, let's see, 2020, what year? Okay, it's 2023, so this was a few days ago. A 2022 Miss Universe judge, and that's a judge on the pageant, of course, is revealing why the organizer behind the event has filed for bankruptcy just days before the next main event. I think the outrage about a trans woman, a man, crossdresser, coming to Miss Universe and preaching, bring the power back to women, couldn't be more of an oxymoron, television host and reporter Emily Austin said Thursday on Varney and Company. I think it's not a her, it's a man, okay? That dude. His company in Thailand has its own financial issues, she continued, but socially and morally it's just wrong, and people are starting to catch on that. Men don't want to sit there and look at a bunch of men in drag. Unless maybe gay guys, I don't know if they're into drag at all, or other cross-dressing men. Nobody's interested in these dudes parading around in woman face. Okay. So anyhow, it's going under, and that's not a surprise that it is. And then there were a trio of articles I'll note from Redux. Again, it'll be in the first comment, because I think YouTube will probably do something to me if I put it in the description. But anyway, yeah, there were like 10 women, and they were in Women's Declaration International, including Lear Keith and Kara Dansky. And they were in Portland, and they were going to speak at the library, but then the library had to back out because of security concerns for their staff and for them. So they went outside, and that's when the damned Antifa bunch and the other weirdos decided to attack them. And so this was on November 19th, so it was 3 days ago, this last weekend. WDI planned an event at the Hollywood branch of the Multnomah County Library, quickly canceling the plans due to security concerns. Speaking with Redux, Kara Dansky explained that the goal of the event was to have a conversation about the importance of protecting women and children in society, and voice concerns about gender ideology, which, of course, these idiots without a clue, Antifa guys and such, they merely prove their point. There's a reason why we don't want to share the spaces, because of this kind of crap. In the days leading up to the event, we were in communication with security about how to ensure the safety of ourselves, library staff, and guests. Hours before the event was scheduled to take place, we were informed that county security would be unable to guarantee our safety, Dansky said. That is 10 speakers, I believe, not 10 people total. I think 10 speakers. But in any case, it was pretty bad. So they did the demonstration on the street and set up on a sidewalk. And within minutes, a vicious mob, Dansky said, first started screaming at us that we were fascists and then approached us, using fascist techniques, of course. The small group of approximately 10 women were greatly outnumbered, with Dansky estimating there were between 30 and 50 of these weirdos clad in black masks. I heard that there was 10 speakers or 10 people total. But anyway, it was a small group. So anyway, it was scary. And it's amazing they weren't killed. But probably eventually somebody will. And then this was hilarious. A damn cheater. And women have to just refuse to play, even though they have to pay a price for that. But this guy thinks he's going to win a lawsuit forcing them to play against him. He's crazy. Anyway, disturbing new information has come to light in a case of a 30-year-old man threatening legal action against a women's football league after female players refused to compete against him. While playing against teams that include a number of teenage girls, this man reportedly sold sexual services while dressed as a schoolgirl. Ah, damn perverts. Perverts need to be out of public life, okay? They don't belong there. And then this goddamn guy who wrote a misogynistic book, which I haven't read and never will. He wrote a graphic fantasy about slaughtering women under fire. This Felker Martin dude, he wrote support for Osama bin Laden. Too bad he wasn't investigated. The attacks of the September 11th, 2001 caused the deaths of over 2,900 people, almost 3,000. A figure that has since been doubled if counting for long-term impact. Yeah, that of illnesses and injuries. Felker Martin's comments, and what did he say? He expressed support, and his comments came with an uncritical resurgence of support for bin Laden on social media applications such as TikTok, where sections of the terrorist's final letter to America have gained popularity among the Western leftists. While Felker Martin quickly deleted his praise for bin Laden, screenshots quickly began circulating and attracting backlash. Well, you probably don't want to post it to begin with, so people don't screenshot it, because people are pretty quick on the trigger. But anyway, yeah, I'm kind of about done for today, and I've got 5 days off, which thank God, and I got my prime rib from Harry and David, so I'll have that tomorrow, and enjoying the birds, eating all the bird seed. I'm almost out of bird seed. I think I'm down to about the last 5 pounds, so I've got to go pick that up in the next few days. And I've been watching My Little Margie, that's from the 50s, first season, and The Real McCoys complete season number 5, and that was an underrated show. And the thing that's the most unnerving about that is knowing that Walter Brennan in that show, I don't know how old of a character he was supposed to play, but what's unnerving is my watching it now at 68 and realizing that he was only 66 years old when he did this particular season. It's unnerving as hell. But he was one of these guys that looked old, even when he was young. So he always played older than his age. And he lived to be only 80. And his widow lived to be 99. He had 3 kids. His daughter made it to 80. And both of his sons made it into their 90s. And the older, or the one that lived longer, was 99, just like Brennan's widow. And Brennan had a long and distinguished career as an actor, but he wasn't always the most pleasant person, especially politically. And then, yes, I felt sad about Rosalind Carter. And she passed away this weekend at the age of 96, a couple of days after she went into hospice. And she was a strong-willed person. She was not some little wifey and all that. In fact, everything I've read about her and Jimmy is that she was the political one more than he was. And very astute politically. And she was a perfect partner for him. Just absolutely the perfect partner. So, anyway, he's 99 years old. He just had a birthday here on October 1st, I think it was. But that was sad because, I met some members of the family. I never met her in person. I met Jimmy in person, and I talked about him on a video that I did when he first went into hospice. But the family that I met, you couldn't find a nicer family. You know, they were just very down to earth, very salt of the earth people. Not a bit of fakery. Not a bit of fakery about them. But so I was sad to hear that she'd passed away. But anyway, that's 20 minutes rambling, and I got to quit doing it because my voice is about ready to give out. So anyway, that's it.